All right, Algebra 2 kids, we're going to keep moving on with solving equations. Here we go. This is just a simple idea. I wanted to remind you of what happens if you have a simple one-step equation that has a fraction in front of the variable. Very simple. What you do is you take this fraction, and since this x is being multiplied by the fraction, we're going to undo the multiplication with division. And remember, when you divide with fractions, you multiply by its reciprocal. Okay, so I'm going to rewrite it. I rewrote it down here so I can perform the task of multiplying by the reciprocal of 2/3, which is 3/2. All right, and then what we do is we multiply both sides by 3/2, and that's what I did. I wanted to show what happened here, and then I'm going to show the other part up here. When you multiply 3 times 2, you get 6. 2 times 3 equals 6. And so you have 6/6 x, which is just 1x. Now, there are two ways to multiply -4 by 3/2. You can either just turn your -4 into -4/1 and multiply straight across and then simplify, which is -4 times 3, which is -12, 1 times 2, which is 2, and -12/2 is -6. Everybody knows that. That's one easy way to do it. When the numbers are nice and small, you can do that. When the numbers get bigger and bigger and bigger, it's easier to simplify first before you do that multiplication. And so I rewrote it again. -4/1, 3/2. I noticed that diagonally, I have a common factor of 2, so I can divide each of these by 2. Divide the 4 by 2 and I get 2. -2 obviously, and divide the 2 by 2 and I get 1. This is a more complex skill. You should have that skill in your bag of tricks to get through this. Other than that, you should be relatively good to go. I'm going to write another equation up here because it does work with fractions and it's a much more complex idea. Now, the previous video talked about distribution, then simplify by combining like terms, and then you got to your two-step equation and then you solved. So if you give me just a moment to erase this, I'm going to put the new equation on the board. I didn't solve that equation because it was way too simple. X equals -6, by the way. But I digress. Let's get to the difficult one. I have 2/3 times the quantity C, I lied, 6C, times the quantity 6C, minus 18, plus 3/4 times the quantity 8C plus 32, 3/4 times the quantity 8C plus 32. And both of those together equal -18. Now there are a bunch of steps we have to do, right? We have to distribute the fraction to both pieces inside. So I'm going to write it out this way and hopefully you'll understand it. 2/3 times 6C, 2/3 times 6C minus 2/3 times 18. All right, and that's our new set. We're going to add to it 3/4 times 8C and add 3/4 times 32. All right, and that all equals -18. All right? So what we do here is we multiply by 2 and then divide by 3. So 2 times 6 is 12 over 3C minus 2 times 18 is 36 over 3. And that's this set of parentheses here. Now we're going to multiply 3/4 times 8c. So 3 times 8 is 24 over 4c plus 3 times 32 is 96. 96 divided by 4, okay, equals negative 18. Now, we can simplify all of these wonderful fractions, right? I know for a fact that 12 divided by 3 is 4, so we have 4c minus 36 divided by 3, which is 12, plus 24 divided by 4 is 6c. There we go. And then, oh gosh, what's that one? That is 24, right? 24. All right, and that equals negative 18. And hopefully you'll keep your equal sign in line. I didn't, but that's the way it goes. And just like before, I want to combine my like terms. So I have 4c and 6c, which equal 10c. I have minus 12 and plus 24, which gives me 12, and that's going to equal negative 18. All right, so I'm almost there. Now I'm in my two-step equation mode. I'm going to undo my addition or subtraction. I have some addition here, so I'm just going to subtract 12 from both sides. Negative 18 and negative 12 are negative 30. And I just have 10c. So 10c. I'm going to rewrite it up here. 10c equals negative 30. And you already know for a fact that it's going to be negative 3. But you're going to divide both sides by 10 to give me just 1c, right? 1c left over. And now I have negative 3. And that's really it. Now this is difficult stuff, right? If you don't like fractions, that's the way it goes. Math has a lot of fractions. Life has a lot of fractions. You're not always dealing with whole numbers. You're often dealing with decimals and fractions. If you can't work with fractions, then you're lost, okay? Because there's no one in the world that wants to deal with 0.6666666666666 forever and ever. When they do the math, you can get a rough approximation, but you can't get the real answer. Deal with 2/3, and everything will be fantastic. 3/4 we can do with decimals, but I digress. Let's go ahead and do it like this. This is the more complex type of idea when we deal with fractions.